All right. So today we're going deep on Anadrol 50.
Okay.
We're taking a look at this article called Legal Anadrol 50 for Sale.
Right.
But, don't worry. This isn't about just, finding it, you know?
Yeah,
We're really trying to figure out what Anadrol is,
for sure.
what it does, why it's so popular,
Mm,
especially for people, looking to gain muscle and improve athletic performance.
absolutely.
But, just to be upfront,
Yeah,
there are some risks with Anadrol.
for sure.
So we definitely want to understand the full picture.
Yeah, definitely a nuanced understanding is important here.
Yeah.
So, Anadrol 50, it's also known as oxymethylone,
Okay.
and it's a pretty powerful anabolic steroid that's been around
What?
since the 1960s.
Okay.
And it was actually originally developed to treat medical conditions,
Oh, wow.
like anemia and osteoporosis.
Interesting.
But it's got these effects that go way beyond
So it was originally designed to boost red blood cell production.
Exactly.
But how does that actually translate to building muscle?
So basically, by increasing those red blood cells,
Yeah.
Anadrol is basically making your blood better at carrying oxygen.
Right.
And when you get more oxygen to your muscles,
Gotcha.
they can work harder,
Yeah.
recover faster, and get bigger.
Makes sense.
And it's not just slow growth either.
Oh, really?
Anadrol is known for these rapid gains in muscle and weight.
Wow.
And in short cycles, 4 to 6 weeks.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how does Anadrol compare to other popular steroids?
Oh, yeah, good question.
I know a lot of our listeners know about Superdrol,
Right.
the Anabol.
Yeah.
So let's break down those differences and when you might choose one over the other.
Sure, so let's start with Superdrol.
Okay.
They're both really good for building mass.
Uh-huh.
But Superdrol tends to give you more lean gains and less water retention than Anadrol.
Okay.
But on the other hand, it can be a little tougher on your liver,
Oh.
whereas Anadrol tends to pack on more size, but
Yeah.
you might get some bloating and potentially more noticeable side effects like acne or hair loss.
Interesting. So it's kind of like a trade-off.
Yeah,
Leaner gains with Superdrol, but maybe more liver stress
right.
versus more size with Anadrol, but maybe some extra water weight
Yeah,
and other side effects.
exactly.
Now, what about Dianabol?
Okay, so Dianabol is kind of in between the two.
Interesting.
It's known for good quality muscle gains.
Okay.
Less water retention than Anadrol, but more than Superdrol.
Gotcha.
And it's also less likely to cause hair loss.
Oh, wow.
So if someone's sensitive to those androgenic side effects,
Right.
Dianabol might be a better choice.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So helpful to understand those nuances.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned Anadrol was originally developed for medical use.
Mhm.
Is it still used for that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's actually still a valuable tool for things like osteoporosis
Oh, wow.
and HIV/AIDS wasting syndrome,
Wow.
which both involve muscle loss
Yeah.
and low red blood cell counts.
Right, which makes sense considering how it works,
Yeah, exactly.
boosting red blood cell production.
Right.
So it seems like a really powerful drug with lots of potential applications.
Yeah.
But of course, with anything powerful,
Yeah,
it's important to be careful
definitely.
and understand the risks.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about those risks.
Okay.
What should people be aware of before even thinking about using Anadrol?
So some common side effects are things like restlessness, insomnia,
Okay.
stomach pain.
Gotcha.
And men might experience breast swelling, which can be kind of scary.
Yeah.
But the bigger concerns are those long-term effects
Yeah.
on things like your liver,
Hmm.
your cholesterol levels, and your heart health.
Oh, wow.
Anadrol can be really hard on your liver,
Oh.
so responsible use is absolutely crucial.
So this is not something to take lightly at all.
Yeah, definitely not.
And what about legality?
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
The laws around Anadrol are different all over the place.
Right.
But in a lot of countries, including the U.S.,
Right.
it's a controlled substance.
Right.
You need a prescription from a doctor
Oh, wow.
to get it legally.
Okay.
Non-medical use is totally illegal,
Wow.
and the penalties can be really serious.
So it's buyer beware,
Definitely.
even if you were thinking about going the legal route
Right.
with the prescription,
Mm-hmm.
there's always a chance of getting fake products.
Yeah, for sure.
So how can our listeners protect themselves from scams,
That's a good question.
especially if they're not familiar with the whole process?
It all comes down to knowing what to look for.
Okay.
One red flag is packaging that just looks off.
Like how?
Different from a real pharmaceutical company.
Gotcha.
Misspellings, blurry printing, stuff like that.
Right.
Another big one is the source itself.
Where you're getting it from.
Exactly.
Good.
Are you buying from a licensed pharmacy?
Yeah.
Or an online store with good reviews?
Right.
Or are you dealing with some sketchy website? Or some random person who's offering crazy deals?
So, like, if it feels wrong, it probably is.
Pretty much.
And speaking of prices,
Yeah.
what does real Anadrol 50 usually cost?
Usually you're looking at around $1 to $3 per 50 milligram tablet.
Okay.
So if you see something way cheaper than that,
Hey,
be suspicious.
red flag.
Big time.
You get what you pay for,
Exactly.
especially when it comes to your health.
Couldn't agree more.
So do your research,
Sure.
choose good sources,
Mm-hmm.
and don't fall for those prices that are like too good to be true.
Right.
Now, let's say someone's considering using Anadrol responsibly,
Okay.
legally.
Mm-hmm.
What's the typical dosage?
So the standard starting dose is usually 50 milligrams a day,
Okay.
especially for people who are new to it.
Yeah.
People with more experience might go up to 100 milligrams.
Okay.
But you should always be careful.
Right.
And talk to your doctor.
And as far as like how long you take it?
Yeah, so for cycle length, 4 to 6 weeks is pretty typical. Gotcha.
If you go much longer than that,
Yeah.
you're really increasing the risk of liver damage.
So short and controlled is key.
Absolutely.
But then what happens like when that cycle ends?
Yeah. Good question.
You can't just like stop cold turkey, right?
You're exactly right.
Okay.
That's where post-cycle therapy or PCT comes in.
Okay, so tell me about PCT.
So after you finish a cycle of Anadrol, your body's natural testosterone production is probably going to be lower.
Oh, wow.
PCT helps get those levels back to normal
Okay.
and prevent those unpleasant side effects.
From like low testosterone.
Exactly, like fatigue, low libido mood swings,
Oh, wow.
that kind of thing.
So it's not just about hormones going back to normal.
Great.
It's also about minimizing those negative effects of coming off Anadrol.
Exactly.
So what does PCT usually involve?
Medications like Clomid and Nolvadex are often used.
Okay.
And they work by basically jump-starting your body's own testosterone production,
Interesting.
which is super important because if your testosterone stays low for too long,
Yeah. It can cause long-term problems.
even after you stop using Anadrol,
Exactly.
this is all incredibly insightful.
Well, thanks.
But I'm wondering, for those listeners who might be concerned about those risks of Anadrol,
Mm-hmm.
are there alternatives they could consider?
There are definitely products out there that are marketed as safer alternatives.
Okay.
For example, there's Crazy Bulk Anadrol,
Okay.
which is made with natural ingredients.
Oh, interesting.
And they claim to have some similar effects to Anadrol,
Gotcha.
but without as much risk.
That's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
So it seems like we've covered a lot of ground here,
Yeah, we have.
but it's really important to emphasize, like,
Yeah.
there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to Anadrol.
Absolutely.
The decision to use it, even if it's responsibly and legally,
Right.
it's a really personal one.
Yeah.
And it should involve thinking carefully about
Sure.
your goals, your health, and your risk tolerance.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about here.
I love that.
We'll be right back after a quick break to wrap up our deep dive into Anadrol 50,
Sounds good.
exploring some final thoughts and key takeaways.
Awesome. You know, it's really interesting how Anadrol kind of fits into these two different worlds,
Yeah.
like medicine and athletics.
Mm.
It really shows how complicated this whole idea of performance enhancement is.
Yeah, for sure.
Like how these substances can be helpful in some ways,
Right.
but also potentially harmful in others.
Definitely depends on how they're used.
Exactly. And it all comes down to making smart decisions.
Absolutely.
You know, whether you're an athlete thinking about Anadrol
Yeah.
or someone dealing with a health issue that it could potentially treat,
Right.
or even just someone who's curious about this stuff.
Hmm.
Having the right information is crucial.
I totally agree.
That's really what we're trying to do with this deep dive.
Yeah.
Give you that knowledge to make those decisions.
I think it's safe to say we've gone pretty deep here.
I think so.
We haven't just told you what Anadrol is.
We've explained how it works like on a cellular level,
Yeah.
compared it to other popular options, and really gotten into the potential risks and legal stuff.
And the importance of responsible use.
Yeah, for sure.
We talked about needing medical supervision,
Right.
the dangers of fake products, and how important post-cycle therapy is.
Right, it's not just popping a pill and crossing your fingers.
Definitely not.
There's a whole strategy involved.
Yeah.
And understanding that strategy is key to minimizing those risks.
Right.
And getting the most out of the potential benefits.
Exactly.
Whatever those benefits might be for each person.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about taking control of your choices
Yeah.
and knowing what those consequences could be.
Right. Both good and bad.
Exactly. And with what we've covered in this deep dive, you're better equipped to navigate this whole world of performance enhancement.
Absolutely.
and make choices that really match your goals and values.
I love that. So, as we start wrapping things up, I want to ask our listeners a question.
Okay, shoot.
With everything you've learned, how can you use this information in your own life?
Mm.
Are you thinking about using Anadrol,
Yeah.
exploring other performance enhancers,
Mm.
or just wanting to understand more about them, whatever your reason is?
Yeah.
We hope this is giving you a good starting
A
point.
good foundation to build on.
Exactly. Now it's your turn to take this info and turn it into action.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, what are my goals?
Mhm.
What am I worried about?
Right.
And most importantly, am I okay with the risks that come with using something like Anadrol?
Because let's be real, those risks are serious.
Yeah, we've talked about potential liver problems, heart issues, hormone imbalances. That's not something to mess around with.
And remember, there are other ways to achieve your goals.
Right.
Anadrol 50 is just one option.
Yeah.
And it might not be the right choice for everyone.
Yeah.
There are other performance enhancers out there, some maybe with fewer risks. And, of course, there's always the option of focusing on your training and nutrition.
Yeah, sticking with what's natural.
Exactly.
I think what's most interesting about this whole deep dive
Yeah.
is that it's not just about Anadrol 50 itself.
Right.
It's like a starting point for a bigger discussion about performance enhancement,
Hmm.
about responsible use and striving for that physical excellence.
Absolutely. It's all about understanding that every choice has consequences
For sure.
and giving you the power to make those choices with knowledge and awareness.
That's a great way to put it. I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
Definitely some food for thought.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Anadrol 50,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
With everything you've learned about Anadrol,
Mm-hmm.
the potential benefits and the risks,
Yeah.
how will this shape your own journey
Mm.
towards better health, fitness, and performance?
That's a great question. Something to really reflect on.
Absolutely.
And remember, the learning doesn't stop here.
Oh.
There's always more to learn and discover.
Absolutely. And with that, we've come to the end of our exploration.
It's been a journey.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Anadrol 50.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so we've covered so much about Anadrol 50.
We
I
have.
want to make sure our listeners are walking away with some real takeaways.
Yeah, for sure. Connecting those dots,
Exactly.
figuring out what this means for you.
Right. Let's take a step back for a second
Okay.
and think about performance enhancement in general.
Mm-hmm.
Anadrol is just one part of this really big picture.
That's a great point. Whether you're an athlete wanting that extra edge,
Right.
or maybe you're dealing with a health condition that could benefit from this kind of therapy.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding all the options.
And that means not just the substances themselves,
Right.
but the training,
Yeah.
the nutrition,
Mhm.
the recovery.
It all goes together.
So let's say you're an athlete thinking about Anadrol.
Okay.
It's not enough to just take it in.
Right. You need a good training program to go with it.
One that's designed to maximize those benefits.
Exactly. And minimize the risks.
And nutrition's super important too.
Absolutely.
Your body needs the right fuel to build muscle and recover.
Especially when you're pushing it that hard.
So it's like a whole system.
A holistic approach.
And speaking of recovery,
Yeah.
we got to talk about post-cycle therapy again.
It's so important.
I know we mentioned it before,
Mhm.
but it's worth repeating.
Couldn't agree more.
It's crucial for anyone thinking about Anadrol.
It's not just an afterthought.
Right.
It's a critical part of the whole plan.
You need a strategy for when
Yeah.
you stop taking Anadrol.
Yeah. To help your body recover and minimize those negative effects.
And that means not just hormones,
Right.
but your liver, your
Yeah.
heart, your overall health.
We've talked about those risks of animal.
Yeah.
They don't just disappear when you stop.
Right.
A good PCT protocol can help reduce those risks.
And support your health long term.
Exactly.
Sounds like there's so much to consider.
There is.
Even beyond just deciding to use Anadrol or not.
It's a complicated world out there.
It is.
Easy to get lost.
And that's why it's crucial to have someone you trust
Yeah. Someone who can guide you through all this.
and help you make those smart choices,
Absolutely.
which is what we hope this deep dive has
Where
done.
we give you a foundation of knowledge.
About Anadrol 50,
Mm-hmm.
the benefits, the risks.
And the bigger picture of performance enhancement.
Exactly. Now it's up to you.
Yeah.
Take this information,
Mm-hmm.
do your research,
Ask questions
make choices that work for you
that fit your goals and your values.
and your risk tolerance.
Couldn't agree more.
Well said. So remember, the learning doesn't stop here.
Oh, no. There's always more to explore and discover.
Stay curious, stay informed.
And keep striving to be your best self.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And with that,
Yeah.
we've reached the end of our deep dive into Anadrol 50.
It's been a journey.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.